to the right place. Welcome to Southern Sense Talk Radio with your host, Annie, the Radio Chickie Bellis, and featuring Curtis C.S. Bennett and the most interesting guests that you'll find anywhere on Internet radio. So sit back, relax, and remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
Okay, and welcome to another adventure here on Southern Sense. We are having some technical difficulties as we try to get the show started. So we'll be hopefully not popping in and out as we try to get all the equipment running properly. We have a problem on Curtis's end, a problem on my end, but we're going to try to get as much of this show in as possible. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to do, and I'm your hostess with the least mostest, Annie, the Radio Chickadee. And hopefully we'll get Curtis up and running with us very shortly. A couple of things that come up in the news cycle that I find interesting, and I'm always tossing them aside. And this appeared in Newsmax just yesterday by Zoe Papadakis. She wrote that Elton John has had a change of heart, it appears. This happened a little bit of a while ago, that he seems to feel marijuana legalization as a recreational drug in America and Canada is a great mistake. He stated, "I maintain that it's addictive. It leads to other drugs," Elton John said. And he adds, "And when you're stoned, and I've been stoned, you don't think normally. Legalizing marijuana in America and Canada is one of the greatest mistakes of all time." It appears that he has overcome his addiction, and he's helped several other artists on their road from addiction also to help them back to their sobriety. He further says, "It's tough to tell someone that they're being an a-hole, and it's tough to hear," he said. "Eventually, I made the choice to admit that I'm being an a-hole." He was first introduced to cocaine in the mid-70s by his lover. And then he went on to other just terrible decisions on drugs. And unfortunately, he recently had an infection in his right eye, and he's lost sight in his right eye. And he is now currently having problems with his sight in his left eye, which brings to question whether or not he'll be able to return to the recording studio. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Elton John as he battles this stage of his life. So this is a very, very interesting uptake on Sir Elton John. Something else that we've been following, and we've mentioned this last year, that President Biden has been selling off parts of the border wall that have not been installed. All this stuff has been lying around along the southern border and has not been erected. So President Biden has decided, and his administration has decided, that why don't we just auction this stuff off, which is what they are doing. And these huge, huge panels, these walls that are supposed to be going up, are lying there on the ground rusting. And he has decided, with 38 days left to his administration, just before Christmas, he's going to auction off these panels for pennies on the dollar. Folks, this is over $300 million of equipment, a border wall sitting there waiting to be erected. And he's selling it for $5 a panel. This is outrageous. If this is not criminal, I don't know what is. This is your tax money. You paid for this. You paid for the security along the southern border, and he's selling your security, our security, to the highest bidder. $5 for the panels? You've got to be kidding me, when we paid millions for them. So hopefully we'll see if we can find some way to get this to stop. We'll see whether or not Texas decides to buy them. At $5 a panel, let Texas erect the area of the border wall. Here on a lighter note, Trump traveled to France, to Paris, France, for the new dedication of the repairs on the Notre Dame Cathedral. And Joe Biden didn't go. He sent his wife, Jill Biden, as his surrogate. And consequently, the paparazzi caught a picture of the two of them sitting near each other and conversing. Well, Trump, ever so much the entrepreneur, someone in his office is getting a pat on the back. He's come out with a new cologne line, and the name of the cologne is Fight, Fight, Fight. And let me see if I can get he has this. I'm trying to find what the punchline is. All right, here it is. The name of the cologne is Fight, Fight, Fight Cologne for men who fight to win and never surrender. And the ad reads, a fragrance your enemies can't resist. And it's a picture of Jill Biden smiling at Donald Trump in Paris. Folks, sometimes you just can't make some of this stuff up. God bless Donald J. Trump for finding some way to find humor and a profit out of something. And plus to tweak the Biden family. Oh man, I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Again, folks, we're having some technical difficulty. We're trying to get through it. And hopefully we'll have everything up and running in short order. In the interim, there is a clip from CNN I wanted to play dealing with Hunter Biden, the Hunter Biden pardon. And Scott Jennings in this liberal news CNN network has the courage to speak truth, power to the truth. And he is facing a panel, and boy, did he let it rip. So let me play this clip, and here we go.
It was a total disgrace. He's leaving office in disgrace because of this pardon. And it's not just the pardon, it's the lying. Lied to the American people. According to NBC News, he and his top aides hatched a plan to lie to the American people. And then this week, he didn't even have the guts to go out to the White House podium and take questions about it. He sent Karine Jean-Pierre out there, who was also part of the lying. And then she continued to gaslight the American people and the media. The American people ought to be pissed. But the media, the people who cover this White House, ought to be absolutely livid at the gaslighting and then the continued gaslighting and the hostility towards the idea of transparency. This is a monumental disgrace. You think 38, 39% job approval is low? Wait until we test him as he leaves office. He's going out of office as one of the least liked and most divisive presidents we've ever had.
And candidly, many of us who are institutionalists criticize Trump for coming after the Department of Justice and saying it's politicized, you can't trust it. And the language in the statement pardoning Biden could have been written by Donald Trump.
He was elected to cure Trump, and he leaves office sounding like what Trump's enemies say he sounds like.
The statement wasn't, I fear that Kash Patel will come after my son. It was, this was essentially politicized Department of Justice.
He said his own Department of Justice is corrupt. He said the Department of Justice is corrupt.
You can talk about the past if you want. I'm talking about the future. And the question is, are you going to leave? Are you going to
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streamed. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A candy maker in Indiana wanted to produce a candy that would be a witness, so he made the Christmas candy cane. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the candy maker began with a stick of pure white hard candy to symbolize the virgin birth and sinless nature of Jesus. Candy maker made the candy in the form of a J to represent the name of Jesus, who came to earth as our Savior. It also represented the staff of the Good Shepherd, who reaches down into the ditches of the world to lift out the fallen lambs that have gone astray. Realizing his candy was very plain, the candy maker stained it with red stripes to symbolize the scourging Jesus received, by which we are all healed. The large red stripe was for the blood shed by Jesus on the cross so that we could have the promise of eternal life. Unfortunately, the candy became known only as a candy cane, a meaningless decoration seen at Christmas time, but the meaning is still there for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. I pray that this symbol will again be used to witness the wonder of Jesus and his great love that came down to us remain the ultimate and dominant force in the universe today and forever. Merry Christmas, and may God bless everyone. I'm Ron Edwards.
Join me live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, to find out where. Simply go to theronedwards.com.
We've had enough, not gonna take it anymore. Sick of the lies, it's time to even the score. We're standing tall, ready to fight for the truth and justice will light up the night. I'm voting for an outlaw, a hillbilly too, America first, yeah, you know it's true. We're taking back our freedom, kicking down the door for the land of the brave. We'll stand forevermore. Voices rising, can't be ignored. United we stand, we'll never be bored. From the heartland to the city streets, we're marching on, won't accept defeat. I'm voting for an outlaw, a hillbilly too, America first, yeah, you know it's true. We're taking back our freedom, kicking down the door for the land of the brave. We'll stand forevermore. Voices rising, can't be ignored. United we stand, we'll never be bored. From the heartland to the city streets, we're marching on, won't accept defeat. I'm voting for an outlaw, a hillbilly too, America first, yeah, you know it's true. We're taking back our freedom, kicking down the door for the land of the brave. We'll stand forevermore. Together we rise, together we stand for the love of our country. We'll take command, no more division, no more lies. With hope in our hearts, we'll reach for the sky. I'm voting for an outlaw, a hillbilly too, America first, yeah, you know it's true. We're taking back our freedom, kicking down the door for the land of the brave. We'll stand forevermore. For the land of the brave, we'll stand forevermore. Together we rise, together we stand. For the love of our country, we'll take command. No more division, no more lies. With hope in our hearts, we'll reach for the skies. I'm voting for an outlaw, a hillbilly too, America first, yeah, you know it's true. We're taking back our freedom, kicking down the door for the land of the brave. We'll stand forevermore. For the land of the brave, we'll stand forevermore. For the land of the brave, we'll stand forevermore.
Okay, we're back. And can you hear me, Curtis?
Yes.
What a nightmare
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I got you loud. I have to apologize, folks. I mean, everything worked perfectly on Wednesday when I did Moms Across America. And then today, I rebooted my computer 3 times. But thanks, guys, for hanging out and being patient with us. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I even tested my mic, and it was fine. So it wasn't on my end.
No, it turns out it was on my end this time. Usually it's you, Curtis, not me. I don't know what it is, but the headset worked perfectly fine on Wednesday. I put it on the charger, and I don't know what the story is, but it decided to crap out on me. It's brand new headset, too. Anyway, welcome to Southern Sense. Talk about messing up the beginning of the show, about the whole first half hour. Anyway, we've got ourselves a great guest coming on today. We have Gary Barv, who is already thrown his hat in the ring for the 2028 presidential election. Holy moly, we've got 38 days left of Biden, and in 39 days, we will have a new president in the Oval Office. And Gary Barv is throwing his hat in for the 2028 election.
Where's he from?
He was originally born in New Jersey. His parents, well, I'll let him give his story when he comes on in a few minutes. Let me just get this other thing off here. Get out of that. Leave the page there. Yes, get out of there. Get out of there. Go away. Anyway, while we're waiting for him to call in, pardon me, my nose is running. Let's do our dedication. And today's dedication is going out to Police Officer Jamal Mitchell of the Minneapolis Police Department in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His end of watch was Thursday, May 30th of this year.
The family of fallen Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell, surrounded by thousands showing their support during a memorial service just a few hours ago. Those who knew Officer Mitchell talked about his unwavering faith and his love for his family and his profession. Hundreds who didn't know him lined the procession route to pay their respects and show their gratitude for officers who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. At today's memorial, Chief O'Hara announced Officer Mitchell was posthumously given the Medal of Honor and a Purple Heart, exemplifying the hero he was.
We have team coverage of Officer Mitchell's memorial. We begin tonight with Kent Erdahl. Hi, Kent.
Hi, Rena. You know, after being in that memorial today, I don't know how even to begin to describe the impact that Officer Mitchell had. Keep in mind, this is a man who went into the force in 2020, specifically going to become an MPD officer because he said he wanted to build bridges in that city. And then he died doing that job, rushing to the aid of a man he thought was injured. And yet that heroic act doesn't begin to describe why thousands came out to honor him today.
This love runs deep.
A seemingly endless stream of officers were a testament to the depth of love on display for Officer Jamal Mitchell.
Jamal was the epitome of a guardian of our community.
MPD Chief Brian O'Hara says Mitchell's love of service ran so deep that he was a decorated officer from nearly day one.
Just 3 days on the job, I met Jamal on a scene after he had run into a house on fire in southwest Minneapolis, rescuing an elderly couple that could not navigate their way through the smoke.
And I remember just a couple days later, looking into his son Jalen's eyes, telling him his dad was a hero. He was so proud of you, Jamal.
Friend Chris Dunker says Mitchell's entire community is proud, explaining how a recent gathering honored both his heroism and tireless volunteerism.
During that gathering, one of the neighbors stood up and said, "If you were to offer me $1 million to say something negative about Jamal, I simply wouldn't be able to do it." What does that tell you about his character and reputation?
No matter what you've been through, Jamal's heart demonstrated, "I care."
Though family have always seen that depth of his love, they say the growing tributes following his death show just how deeply his love was felt by others.
Every act, every card, every note, Every story made us smile and cry. This was Jamal's purpose. This was Jamal's assignment. This was Jamal's mission. And through our tears and heavy heart, we collectively say, mission accomplished.
I'm calling on every officer in this building to think about Jamal the next time that you get in that squad car. And remember that he would have wanted you to get out that car and engage with your communities. Mitch, we appreciate what you did, and this is not the end of your story. Officer Jamal Mitchell, badge number 4819, the hero that the city of Minneapolis needed.
So much emotion in that room today, and of course flowing outside of here afterwards. One more example of the impact Officer Mitchell had. There was an officer here from South Carolina, from Charleston. He had trained Officer Mitchell at MPD, and he and a colleague wanted to come back and honor him in uniform today because of the impact he had on him in such a short amount of time. Back to you.
Sounds like an extraordinary man. I'm so glad he was so well honored today. Thank you, Kent. Shortly after the service, hundreds of law enforcement officers gathered in the Maple Grove High School parking lot where they gave Officer Mitchell a final salute. There was a rifle volley and a single helicopter flew over the crowd before a final call was issued for Mitchell. Badge 4819.
Support for Officer Mitchell and his family was evident along the procession route. Members of the community lining the streets, many of them holding flags to pay tribute. Our Morgan Wolf continues our coverage with more on those who felt compelled to be there. Morgan?
I just have to say, it was truly breathtaking to see the amount of people that showed up here today just in Maple Grove alone. We know this procession lasted roughly 45 minutes, going all the way down to the airport, but there were hundreds of people that we saw here along this route. Many of them didn't even know Officer Mitchell, but felt compelled to be here just to show that they care.
Feeling a lot of different things. Sad is the big one. It sucks. And I feel bad for his family and his kids.
So many people that I spoke to say they took the day off of work to be here. And you know, it was a warm day. The sun and the heat, though, it didn't deter anyone from getting here. Some as early as 10 in the morning sitting out on the side of the road. I spoke to a woman who said that she has been just deeply moved by Jamal's story, signing up to be a police officer in Minneapolis following George Floyd.
There aren't many out there like that anymore, and it's such a loss. Such a loss for the people who loved them, such a loss for the community. Such a loss for this world.
A lot of people noting this is the second procession that we've seen in the last 4 months, saying that it doesn't get easier to witness this time and time again, but it is a step towards healing, especially showing law enforcement that they honor their service and their sacrifice. Back to you.
All right, indeed, Morgan, thank you. And we invite you to stay with KARE 11 for more coverage of the memorial and the procession for Officer Jamal Mitchell. We will have additional live reports coming up in our news at 6 and during Breaking the News at 6:30.
Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, we led with grace. Let it be seen, from sea to shining sea, beautiful America, living our legacy. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be known as people of honor, humble and bold, faithful through fire. Let us hold firm to our sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us make room. Let us reimagine. Welcoming voices with true compassion. Let's craft a world with hopes and dreams. The challenges known, those still unseen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be sure when our time has come, we gave them hope, we made them strong. Let it be said when we finish this race, we kept them free, yeah, we led with grace. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let it be said. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation.
All right, and we're back. You're here listening to Southern Sense, watching Southern Sense live up on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, half a dozen other places, as well as our own homepage, southernsense.net. I'm your hostess with the least mostest, the Radio Chickadee, and I finally got myself working today. You'd think, Curtis, after doing this for 15 years, I could get my act together just once.
Hey, there will be days like this.
My mama said.
Mama told me, yeah.
Well, want to welcome back onto the show a gentleman who's thrown his hat into the ring for presidency for 2028, Gary Barv. Good afternoon, Gary, and welcome to the show. And sorry about the start.
Hey, Gary.
That's all right. That's all right. Good afternoon, Annie, and good afternoon, Curtis Bennett. It's great to be back on the incredible The Southern Sense Show. I was a guest on your show when I was previously running for U.S. Congress, and I just want to quickly introduce my great viewers and listeners. I know you do this on video and you share it as a podcast audio as well. Annie and Curtis, my name is Gary Barv. I am a youth supporter of our President Donald J. Trump, a proud Republican of the Republican Party that belongs to our Donald J. Trump. And I'm officially running for President of the United States of America in the 2028 election to help President Trump make America great again, keep America great, and save America. And I'm running because I love President Trump. I love our country, the greatest in the world, the United States of America. And I love our great American people. And I want to help President Trump make America great again. And if I could just get couple of things I want to share. What a tremendous win by President Trump, right? Tremendous win. November 5th, 2024, President Trump won in a landslide. And, Annie, I think I said on your show, and Curtis, when I was on previous for the November 5th election, that I believe President Trump will win the election for many reasons. One of the reasons being, I believe President Trump is a big Christian. Jesus Christ is with President Trump and with our country and with our great American people. And, I respect all religions, but I'm a Christian. And I believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And what a tremendous win. He did dumb as a rock Kamala in all battleground states, one after the other. And I just want to congratulate President Trump for his tremendous win. And I believe he saved America by winning the election on November 5th. And I believe he will continue to make America great, keep America great, and save America. And I'm happy to give some updates about my campaign as well, if that's something okay with Annie and Curtis. And I'm happy to answer questions that you might have. Open book, you can ask me whatever you want.
Well, your website is your name, Gary Barve, BARVE, for America, FOR America.com. And you have up there your background, because you were born here in the United States, even though you have an accent. People may not realize that you are born American. So you have an
American blood. I have President Donald J. Trump, Republican American blood in me, and I'm fighting for America. I'm ready to take a bullet for my country. I didn't mean to interrupt, but when you say America, I get very passionate about it. I love our country, Annie, and I love President Trump, and I love all our great American people.
Well, because of your unique background, your parents took you back to India, where they were from, and raised you there. But it was your choice to come back to America and to participate in our great country, which is one of the reasons why you have been running for office. Pardon me. So people can actually read about it. You did attend Liberty University, even though you didn't graduate from it, but that is where you came to meet Christ, and gives you your passion here. You also have on your webpage your agenda, and I love the name of it, America First.
That is America First. That defines President Trump's presidency. I'm confident about that. And Annie and Curtis have made a campaign promise. I'm going to support President Donald J. Trump's America First agenda 100% until November 2028. And I said that, if you remember, Annie, I said that prior to November 5th during my previous United States Congress election as well. I am supporting his agenda 100% until November 2028. And I make a promise. I've made a promise on the campaign website as well. I will, if I get the great honor of being elected President of the United States of America in the 2028 election, I promise you and all our American people that I will always make decisions for our country, keep America first and keeping our American people first. But I do want to say a couple of things. I know, Annie, you were a great law enforcement officer or NYPD officer, and I genuinely want to thank you for your service to our country. And I've made a couple of posts on campaign social media and taken a couple of sessions on campaign social media about our great police, sheriffs, ICE, military, veterans, firefighters, and first responders. And I just want to share that with you in real quick. And I have decided that I'm going to meeting with the personnel who worked on President Trump's campaign to discuss this. The first thing I want to say is our police, sheriffs, ICE, military, firefighters, first responders, people in these groups are great people who run towards danger to protect civilians and residents they do not even know. And I believe this is bravery and courage of the highest level. But I said two things. The first thing is I feel all the people in the groups that I mentioned, police, sheriffs, ICE, military, firefighters, and first responders, in my humble opinion and from my observation, are severely underpaid or understaffed in many jurisdictions in our country. And I'll explain why I say that. So I know for a fact that there are many professions where people start off with huge starting salaries, but they do not have to risk their lives for our American people and for our country and have their lives at risk on a daily basis, like our police, sheriffs, ICE, military, veterans, firefighters, and responders do for the country and for our great American people. And I have nothing against these other professions that have the large salaries, the high salaries. I have nothing against it. But I do want to see the salaries for all the groups that I mentioned increase. And I have made a decision, if I get elected president in the 2028 election cycle, I will get this done. I've not figured out exactly the path to get this done. I'm discussing it with my team and a lot of people, but I will get this done. This is a campaign promise, because I think it's a travesty that, these great people who are ready to fight for our country are not being treated right. The second thing I want to say is about our great American veterans. Annie and Curtis, there are approximately, and I've had discussions about this with people, approximately 33,000 homeless American veterans who have served our country and were ready and still are ready to take a bullet for our country. They're homeless now. And my question to everyone really is, and this really is a no-brainer for me. Look, we have spent, I'll give you an example. We have spent as a country more than $100 billion on Ukraine, on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. More than $100 billion. Now, it's not our war. That's my first thing. And Europe has not paid anywhere near the amount that we as a country have, the ocean separating us. So my simple request is this. If we allocate a small fraction of that $100 and allocate it towards our great American veterans to get all 33,000 great American veterans off the street, I think it can be done very easily. I don't think there should be any doubt about this. It can be done very fast, and it can be done relatively easily with the right resources and the right people working on this initiative. And so I just believe that all the people in the groups that I mentioned, people who are ready to take a bullet for our country, Annie and Curtis, are great people, because number one, I admire and respect the courage. And number two, the second thing is they're selfless, right? If someone's ready to take a bullet for the country, for American people, I think it's very selfless. And I think it's time we care of in the groups that I just mentioned, because they have been taking care of us for a really long time, and things need to change. If I get elected president, both these things done. I want zero veteran homelessness, zero veteran joblessness, and I want complete mental health services for American veterans. I will get this done. This is a campaign promise, and I'm going to have conversations, hopefully sometime soon, with the personnel who with Donald J. Trump's campaign about this as well. And so that's two things that I really wanted to share with you. Yes, ma'am.
Now, with those two things, I can follow up. As for first responders and mental health issues, there is something named after a friend of mine. There's a federal grant out there named after a friend of mine that I went to the police academy with, who was murdered only 2 years onto the job. He went into the academy, he was assigned to transit, then went into the regular NYPD out of the 103rd precinct, Eddie Burns.
Okay.
And
you said he was murdered? Is that what you said?
Yes, he was murdered on the orders of a drug dealer as Eddie Burns was guarding a witness's house. Two individuals walked up on either side of the car, and one distracted him while the other one shot him 5 times in the head. His father was a police officer. His brothers were police officers. I get upset. It's called the Eddie Burns Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. Now, through this, you can help local agencies with grants that can fund them. It also gives for educational purposes, substance abuse, mental health issues. So through this, you can do a great many things. The other thing you can think of is Donald Trump came up with the idea of these freedom cities.
Yes, I've heard about that.
A lot of land that the federal government owns.
I think it's 1/3. Yeah, I think 1/3 of the land in America is federally owned. Maybe I don't have the exact number. And I think he said if we allocate like a small percentage of that land, like a fraction, like a 0.1% or something like that, I think we can build freedom cities and give the people a shot at the American dream, which I think, I love the American worker. But I just want to quickly touch upon that. First, I want to say I'm very sorry to hear about Officer Eddie's loss of life, and I can see from your sort of your facial reactions and the tone of your voice, Annie, that this is an issue that obviously affected you closely. And I feel very bad about what happened, and I'm going to connect with you after this interview and see if I can help in any way from the perspective of the campaign. But I genuinely believe what I said, and I will get it done, Annie. And it should not be very difficult. I think it's going to be very difficult to get, a few $1 billion to help our great American veterans. We're giving it to people who are fighting another area of the world, billions of dollars, and we're not supporting our veterans. Same with our police, sheriffs, ICE, military, firefighters, and first responders. Why are we not supporting the people who are ready to take a bullet for us? And the other thing I want to say is, I think, I sort of resonate with the groups that I mentioned very strongly, because, again, I'm not comparing my courage that you displayed, Annie, and, the great police, sheriffs, ICE, military, veterans, firefighters, and first responders displayed. They literally run towards the bullets, as I'm sure you have done, Annie, to support and fight for our American people. But I have taken on criminal gang cartels such as MS-13 and drug dealers, and I've taken on this Venezuelan gang. I'm sure you've heard of this gang, Annie and Curtis. Tren de Aragua. It's the Tren de Aragua that's come across the southern border into our country illegally. And, these are bad people. I don't want these people in our country. They literally cut people up just for fun. And so, I said to myself, I sort of want to fight these gangs. I want to get them out of our country. So my direct message right now, I don't know if there are any gang members listening in. My direct message to the gang members right now is get the hell out of our great United States of America. If you don't, we will incarcerate members of your gang, and we will kick out of our country members of your gang. Keeping the American people safe and secure is something that is very important to me, and I'm ready to take a bullet for that. And I probably will sometime in my life, but that's okay. America and the American people are worth fighting for. And so that's one of the reasons why I resonate with police, sheriffs, ICE, military, veterans, firefighters, and first responders. And I just want to support them. I'll be their biggest supporter if elected president of the United States of America in the 2028 election, as a Republican supporter of the man, President Donald J. Trump. And even during the campaign, I'm going to fight for these causes, and I will get it done. Annie and Curtis, that I have a reputation in the political realm that I keep my promise. I will keep all my promises, and I will get this done.
Gary.
Yes, sir.
Trump made great inroads into the minority community.
Yes.
The last couple of years, but more so the last couple of months of his campaign. What would you do to expand upon what he's done to get more people to smell the roses and become conservatives?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think we just fight for our country. People of color, as some people like to call it. I just don't look at it that way. I just feel what President Trump did, the way I believe President Trump unified the country, right? He unified the country. And I think there were a lot of people of color, as you said, Curtis, who were supporting prior to the primary election as well. It wasn't, I sort of slightly disagree with you. It wasn't just the last 2 months of the campaign. I think there was support for a long time for President Donald J. Trump. And that sort of showed the big results that President Donald J. Trump got. But I think, when it comes to the African American community, the Hispanic community, I think they're great people and they want secure borders. Border security is a very important thing for the people of color as well. Who would not want their families to be safe and secure? Who would want their families to be at risk from gangs and cartels such as MS-13 and Tren de Aragua? The other thing I say to our great American people of color, as some people like to call it, I will just call them great American patriots. My message is, why are you supporting Kamala or the Democrat Party? I call it the Kamala Democrat Party because Kamala is the flag bearer for the Democrat Party. She was the nominee. And so my humble request or message to all Americans, including independents, Democrats, people of color, Caucasian people, brown people, black people, American people, my simple message is this. If you're supporting the Democrat Party or Kamala, ask yourself the question, why are you really supporting Kamala or the Democrat Party? this party is destroying our country. If you love the country, President Trump is securing the southern border. He's making sure that crime goes down. Gang members are out of our country. The economy is really, really positive with great things such as tariffs, for example, right? Tariffs is such an like from the economic perspective, from the country's economy perspective, tariffs is a great way to bring businesses into our country and keep it in our country so that they hire you, our great American people, instead of them building their businesses in Mexico or some other country. And look, I want all countries to do well, most countries to do well. I want most countries to thrive, but not at cost and expense of you, our great American people. And so I think President Trump is the most intelligent man on earth. He's bringing businesses back to America, which means you are going to get more job opportunities, higher salaries. And I think it's going to be a great thing for our country. So, safety, security, you talk about the economy, you talk about inflation goes down when President Trump comes back into office because we drill for oil and gas in our country. Right? And very simple explanation. When you drill for oil and gas in America, what happens is the cost of supply chain goes down, right? Construction, manufacturing, shipping, transportation, raw materials. The cost of the entire supply chain goes down. And because of that, inflation goes down because the consumer price, the price at which the consumer will purchase the product goes down because supply chain, transportation, and all these costs have gone down. And so that will bring a great economy for our American people. So I think the way to bless the party is exactly what President did. Fight for our country, be ready to take a bullet for our country. President Trump did that. President Trump literally took a bullet for our country. And I'm going to say it, I think it's just divine intervention. What happened, the way he reacted, is divine intervention. Shot in the ear, July 13th, right? He was shot in the ear. Because he was shot, he got down. And what does he do? He gets right back up. I think he looks for his shoes. I mean, he looks for his shoes. He's shot. He looks for his shoes. And he looks at the people. The first thought that comes to his mind is, these are my American people. These are our American people who love the country. And so he wants to show the American people that he's solid, he's safe, he's secure, and he's fighting. So he says, fight, fight, fight. In that moment, few seconds after he was shot. I think something like that, people of all colors, all religions, Christian people, other religions, will resonate with. And that's one of the reasons why President Donald J. Trump won this election in a landslide. And I think I said this on your show, Annie and Curtis, before November 5th. President Donald J. Trump will be the greatest unifier that God has created. And I think it worked out that way. And I will say this very confidently. If I get the Republican nomination in 2028, and I think I have a shot at it. I think I have a great shot at it. I'm saying I have like a 1% shot. I think I'm saying it a little bit humbly. I think I have a great shot at winning this election, the Republican primary election. See what happens. But my simple message is, if you are a great American patriot who loves the country, I will be able to coalesce the party with you in a great way. I will be one of the greatest unifiers that God has created after President Trump. If I become the Republican nominee, even if I do not, I believe I'll be able to unify the party in a great way.
Well, what is your background, your career, education?
So I think I shared this with you on a previous segment. So I was born in Summit, New Jersey, and did not get the great opportunity of growing up in our great country. My family relocated to India when I was about 4.5 years old. And as soon as I completed my undergrad, like Annie said, I decided to come back home. I was in Massachusetts working in the technology industry in business analysis role, and then job role. And then I relocated to Dallas, Texas to pursue my full-time MBA at SMU. And, I got my MBA in entrepreneurial strategy and marketing. And, I went through some really, really tough personal challenges around the time of the completion of the MBA course. Diagnosed with a clinical depression-related illness right at the final stages of the MBA course. And I really struggled and battled with this illness for many years. And, the one thing that I really learned from this battle with clinical depression-related illness is never, ever give up and to always keep fighting for our country, for our American people, and for President Donald J. Trump. I want to say I've made a complete recovery from this clinical depression-related illness. I take no treatment now. And I thank Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior for this. I thank President Trump, my friends, my parents, the medical staff for giving me the ability to combat this illness. So what I'm trying to get at is every person has a different path in life. Some people have a thriving financial career. Some people are great American farmers. Some people are great American coal mine workers, oil and gas workers. People have different paths. This was my path. And so I decided to run for city council in Santa Clara, California in the 2020 general election. And, I used to be a Democrat for a little while because 99.9% of this many years back, I've said being a Democrat is the most horrendous decision of my life. But in speeches, I've said this publicly, but it was like, half a decade back or more than that even probably. But, I used to be a Democrat because 99.9% of my family, I don't have a family right now other than my parents. But at that time, 99.9% of my family was, in my opinion, liberal. And I was in Santa Clara, California, which has some Republicans and some patriots, but there are many, it's a very liberal place. It's the Silicon Valley. And so I thought I was liberal and I was a Democrat for some time. And then I saw President Trump's videos, especially there's this one video on YouTube that I watched, I think like 100 times. And he talks about tremendous wisdom in that video. It's 10 Rules of Success by President Trump. Tremendous video. I started reading his books, Think Big by President Trump. I've read it about literally 4 to 5 times on audiobook. I've studied that. It's the greatest book ever written after the Bible. And so point being, I was tremendously influenced by President Trump's America First platform, the fight that he has for America. And I said, I want to be a Trump supporter. I filed for city council as a Republican supporter of President Trump and had a tremendous campaign for city council. We got 23% of the vote in a 3-person race when, per my memory, only about 17% Republicans in the district that I ran in. So we had a tremendous result. And like Annie said, after that, I was in Virginia. I was a student at Liberty University, got baptized at Thomas Road Baptist Church, and then relocated to Florida, ran for United States Congress in the 2020 election as a Republican supporter of President Donald J. Trump. And the fact that we hardly invested any money in the campaign, I think it was like $12,000 to $15,000, other than the filing fee. There was hard money that was invested in the campaign. And we got a lot of votes. And I think it was a great result, but given the fact that we hardly invested any money in the campaign. But the other thing I want to say is the reason I made the decision to run for president of the United States of America in the 2028 election as a Republican supporter of President Trump is this great book that I've read, which I just mentioned, Think Big by President Trump. And in the book, he talks about many things. He talks about never give up, right? I will never give up. I will always keep fighting for our country. I'm never giving up, irrespective of the challenges that come up. As long as I can sustain a campaign from a campaign dollar perspective, which I really, really hope, I want to fight for our country. So never give up. The other thing he says is go against the tide, which I think I'm doing in a great way right now because, considering some of the opposition that I'm going to face, Ron DeSanctimonious, Nikki Birdbrain, Democrat running as a Republican, Haley, Gavin, Kamala, dumb as a rock, Kamala, Vivek Ramaswamy, opportunistic rhino, weak little Vivek, and Glenn, awkward rhino, Youngkin, and Chris, colossal rhino, Christie, rhino meaning Republican in name only. All these people have a little bit of more name recognition than I have, though I think I'm getting some name recognition now. So I'm going against the tide. I'm following President Donald J. Trump's advice, and I'm going against the tide. And he says, President Trump says that's where the big success is. And so he says, serve the country, love the country. And I think I'm doing exactly that. And I talked with a few friends, I talked with a few wishers, and I said, America runs through my blood, body, mind, and soul. It's always been about the country for me. And I'm ready to take a bullet for our country. And I'm proving that by taking on these gangs and cartels and really bad people and working really hard. Annie and Curtis, I've not taken a single day completely off since September 5th when I filed my initial paperwork with the FEC. I work nonstop all the time because I love what I do. Like President Trump says, you got to love what I do. And so that's how I made the decision to run for president of the United States of America in the 2028 election as a Republican supporter of President Donald J. Trump. And I think we've had a tremendous start to the campaign. I've been to multiple Republican Party or Republican committee meetings in Iowa, given speeches. I spoke yesterday in Florida. Charlie Kirk was speaking. He was the main. I was given an opportunity. He's a big Trump supporter as well. And I was given the opportunity to say, just maybe one or two lines about my campaign for president. And I think the campaign is gathering momentum, and I think it's going to be a great campaign. Like I said, I've got like a 1% shot at winning the election. I think I'm being a little bit humble. I think it's the wise thing to do right now. I think there will be clutch moments during this campaign, Annie and Curtis. And the clutch moment, like you call in sports, right? I think it's a sports analogy. These clutch moments will be won by me, most of them or many of them, in the next 2.5, 3 years. I think that 1% is going to go up very fast, and I'm going to sort of knock out a lot of the opponents that I just mentioned, one after the other. It's a tough task, but I love the country. I want to serve the country. I want to serve America, make America great again, keep America great, save America as a candidate for president of the United States of America, as a Republican supporter of President Donald J. Trump.
Now, here's the trick question. Have you even given a contemplation to a vice presidential running mate?
Well, that's a great question. I actually made a post on campaign social media I think it was back, and I'm going to word this very carefully. So I know hard who I want to be my vice president. And I said that I will potentially announce this April as soon as within the next year. Now, I want to make it very clear. I have not talked about this with that individual at this time, but I know who I want, and we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be a great campaign, Annie and Curtis.
Well, people can find you more about your campaign, and it's your name, Gary Barve, BARVE, for FORAmerica.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm going to wish you a lot of good luck because you're going to need it. You got 4 years to work on this.
Yes, definitely. I think we've started really, really hard. I'm working so hard, Annie. I love the country. I love our great American people. I have such a great time at meetings, events. I can do meetings, events all the time, and interviews with great shows such as your show, The Southern Sense. I really hope, Annie and Curtis, that you'll have me back on your show sometime soon. And again, it's a real pleasure being on the show with you both. And also, Annie, just genuinely thank you for your service to our country and for the courage and selflessness as I believe, a former NYPD officer. So thank you very much, Annie. And again, thank you, Curtis, as well, for having you.
Well,
yeah, come back.
Good luck and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Take care. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, that's Gary Barve. We have a friend of the show that hasn't been on in quite a while, so I'll bring him on, and he'll say all what. Hello, Josh. Josh Bernstein of the Josh Bernstein Uncensored Show. Good afternoon, Josh. My camera keeps on going in and out on me today. What is this? I've got some sort of a gremlin in my computer, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Am I too close? Let me back up a little bit here.
Yeah. There we go. Now you're there
we go. I don't want to look like a giant. You know?
No. You ever have one of those days where absolutely nothing goes right?
Sure.
Have you ever had?
Many times.
Well, this started off today, and I'm yelling at Curtis that he doesn't have a sound coming on his end. It was my end. So the first half hour of the show was no sound.
Well, hopefully we got sound on this one.
Oh, man. So anyway.
Read you loud and clear.
Welcome aboard. You started your show about 9 years ago, right?
Yeah, even longer than that. I actually my career kind of started with me writing for Breitbart, the Washington Times, the Examiner, the Tea Party Tribune, which is no longer around anymore, and just writing articles and things like that. And from that, somebody reached out to me on Facebook. Her name was Jennifer Meadows, and she actually was a co-host of a radio show in Mississippi. And at the time, her partner that she was doing the show with decided for whatever reason he didn't want to do the show anymore. And she asked me if I'd like to give it a shot, give it a try. And I said, sure. I've never done it before, but why not? I'll give it a shot. And this is back in the Wild Wild West days of Blog Talk Radio. So this is a long, long time ago. And from that, we ended up doing a show called The Grit and Grace Show. And we did it for about 10 months. And from that experience, we eventually, separated and went our separate ways. And at that point, I decided to kind of go out on my own. And I did the Josh Bernstein show, and I guess the rest is history.
That it is, because this coming year will be total 15 years I've been doing this. So you were brand new on Blog Talk Radio about the same time, back in 2010.
Yeah, about 2012. About 2012, somewhere right around there. Yeah.
Wow. And now they're going bye-bye next month.
Is it even still around? I didn't even know it was around.
Yeah. The end of January is going to be bye-bye. Permanently
For Blog
gone.
Talk.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
What a ride. What a ride it's been.
It's been crazy.
You've got a new book out. You have to pardon me. I woke up with a runny nose today and it just doesn't want to stop. You have a book out. See, I got a little thing on the corner right by your head too. Preserving.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I couldn't get it any bigger, unfortunately. They kind of like limit me on how big a little thing I can put up there. But it's a very interesting book because you basically take 10 different areas and show ways on how we can improve our country. And a lot of what you've written are already policies that Trump said he's going to be working on.
Exactly.
So the two of you are like in sync completely. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole entire book, but just to give people an idea how to restore voter integrity and confidence. Now, I have to admit, the county I live here in South Carolina, the voter integrity law that passed is named after my county because we came up with it, our county GOP, which included items such as ballot harvesting and the mail-in ballots.
Right.
A lot of that stuff we were already starting to do the previous election cycle, and we've initiated it. And matter of fact, when you go to vote, you get a paper ballot. It gets printed out, and you actually get to look to see if everything's correct. And then it goes into a scanner. And what they do is a lot of people say, well, they got a barcode on the bottom that can be, twitched around, whatever. They have to marry that paper ballot to the actual results. And if they don't match, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not very many fail because of this. So when they say go to paper ballots, people think, oh, no. But there are ways to do it. And
yeah, absolutely. And look, the bottom line is just because we have the technology doesn't mean we need to use it. I've said this many times. I say it in the book. Tyranny is sold as convenience. Oh, don't worry about that paper. That's archaic. That's old. That's back the way of the typewriter. Just click this button here and we'll register your vote. So they're not plugged into the internet. Of course not. And so I talk a lot about that in the book.
Yeah. Also, how the electorate does have a voice, and it drives me crazy because someone said something to me the other day, and I had to take a step back and go, "No, you did not just say that to me." They were looking at the polls. And they said, "Well, looking at the polls, I knew Trump was going to win, so I figured I don't have to vote." And I'm going, "Excuse me? Trump won because of the exact opposite attitude." Because we flooded the ballot box. We made it a ballot box revolution.
Right. And we didn't leave anything to chance this time. We had Laura Trump and Michael Whatley at the RNC filing lawsuits after lawsuits. I mean, there was over 130 lawsuits, including 80 plus in the swing states alone. So every time someone tried to do something, Benson or whoever in Michigan tried to do something, we were right on top of it. We were filing lawsuits before the votes were being cast and counted. So kudos to them. And of course, look, this is the first time ever in history for any political party to basically subcontract out the get out the vote operation. And we were certainly successful with Turning Point Action and Charlie Kirk. And of course, the unsung hero, Scott Pressler in Early Vote Action. I mean, he literally flipped the entire state of Pennsylvania almost entirely by himself. So we really owe a lot of gratitude to those two organizations in particular. And let's face it, President Trump did something that most people cannot do or even know how to do. He took free advertising, right? The garbage comment, he drives the garbage truck. The McDonald's fiasco, he goes and he works at McDonald's. I mean, that's billions upon billions of views of free advertising that the other side didn't even have a clue how to use. I mean, they spent what, $1.5 billion and they're 20 billion in debt, or 20 million in debt still.
It's actually 2.6 billion.
Yeah, 2.6 billion, and they're still in debt, and they have nothing to show for it. So that was a big part of it. And of course, Elon Musk buying Twitter and turning it into X and turning it into a narrative buster, basically in the middle, right? You had all these social media. It's almost like X became Israel, right? Surrounded by all the enemies, and no one's got any free speech. But right in the middle, you have something strong and robust enough to kind of change the narratives. And thankfully, he was able to do that. And, you know, a lot of people were involved this time, a lot more eyeballs. We were not going to let what happened in 2020 happen again.
No, matter of fact, we are up live on X as well as on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and half a dozen other places. I don't know where I am anymore.
Yeah, it must be nice not to be censored. The only thing I have now and got back, which was about a week ago, is I got my my LinkedIn account back after 4 years. And thankfully with my 4,000 plus connections, because that's how we reconnected and how I've been working the circuit, so to speak, to try to find places that'll interview me about the book. But also I've been looking for a book promotion company and publicist. So, you know, if anyone's watching this and they're legitimate and they have a good reputation,
you and I will talk off air. I have the perfect person for you.
Okay.
Absolutely perfect. He handles an A-list.
Oh, perfect. Good deal.
Now, an A-list that you want to get onto. So like I said, you and I will talk after we get off air. And AJ, if you're listening.
If who?
I'm shouting out to him. I'm saying, AJ, if you're listening.
Oh, I know AJ Rice. I've known AJ Rice for well over 10 years. And as a matter of fact, I did September and October, it was August and September. I did some pre-launch, promotion, and I used AJ, and I did it in August and September. So I did it for 2 months, and then the book came out October 8th. And then Skyhorse, the publishing company, has been working with me since then, but that's going to run out in probably February or March. So I'm going to need a full-time book publicist person. But yes, I do know AJ extremely well.
Tell AJ I sent you that.
I know AJ very well. Yes.
Hey, it's good to have you on. I didn't get a chance to read your book, but I'm curious because here in Florida, we are still using Dominion ballot boxes.
Oh, boy.
And I don't understand it because we have Ron DeSantis as the governor, and we control both houses. Is there anything in your book where you address Dominion voting machines and their unreliability and how easy it is to manipulate the vote count?
Yeah, I do address voting machines in particular. And I do give examples of proof of how they are plugged into the internet, including, professional forensic auditors that have testified to that fact. I don't necessarily go through Dominion, Seidel, Smartmatic, SGO, some of the companies in particular. But the bottom line is I do talk about how they are plugged into the internet. And, one of the things, and I don't know if Florida has done this yet, but they ought to. They ought to get out of the ERIC system. And I'm not sure if Florida has done that yet. I think there's been 8 or 9 states that have.
Yeah,
but if they're not, that's
it.
something they need to push for, because this ERIC system is an absolute joke. I mean, they say that it's to clean up voter rolls, but it's not. It's to maintain voter rolls with illegal votes on them. So if more and more states get out of it, then they won't have as much control. So. But look, I've said this before. I want to see a Department of Election Integrity. Just boom, just wave an executive order, create the Department of Election Integrity, and let the people that know what they're doing run it. Russell Ramsland, possibly from Allied Security. You could have Jovan Pulitzer, who is the creator of the QR code. He could be part of it. Joe Hoft, Jim's brother, is a forensic auditor. We need to go through all 50 states voter rolls and go through them all, and then go through and find out, exactly what happened. And I would start with the 3 to 4 House seats in California that were literally stolen in this election at the very end to make the margin of the House victory that much smaller. I would start there. And then from there, I would go into the 4 Senate races that I believe have been stolen. Arizona's Senate race, Sam Brown's Senate race in Nevada, Eric Hove in Wisconsin, and Mike Rogers in Michigan. I believe all of those were won by the Republicans, but there was shenanigans behind the scenes. So I would go in through there after figuring that out, then go into the 2022 midterms, find out what happened with the 60% plus machines going down on election day here in Maricopa County in Arizona. And once you go through that, then go to the 2020 election. Because if we don't fix the problems and we just say, oh boy, we won and we just, we won and we made it too big to rig. Well, eventually too big to rig is not going to work. And so we've got to really buckle down and hold these people accountable that have been stealing elections.
Oh, there goes my camera again. It just doesn't like me today. What is with this thing today? Holy cow. Anyway, Josh, people can go to Amazon and get your book, but they can also go to your website, which is jbushow.com.
Yeah, jbushow.com. The book is an easy read. It's about 157 pages, but it's very powerful. This is the type of book you want to read with a yellow highlighter in your hand, because you will be going back to many of the things that are in it. One of my goals in writing it was to give the reader audible gasps at the information that they're going to find in this book. I go through everything from elections to the border, to taxes, to spending, to the national debt, to China, to Fauci, to COVID. I mean, you name it, it's all in there. You can get it on Amazon. Just put Preserving Liberty book, Josh Bernstein. You'll find it immediately. It'll make a great stocking stuffer. And here's the other thing. I wrote this book not in a, quote, bombastic way, meaning you're not going to see the words leftists or, extremist or communist. Like, I don't even do any of that. I don't drop those types of words. I kind of go right down the middle. And here's the best part. No one can accuse me of, quote, writing a right-leaning book, because I actually use left-leaning sources to prove all of my points. And not only that, I don't just use FBI and CIA emails like in the footnotes. I use them in the pages of the book against the FBI and the CIA. And keep this in mind, this book came out October 8th, meaning I didn't know who was going to win the election yet. And the stuff that's in this book, if he didn't win, I'd have 24-hour security. That's for sure. So it's a bomb thrower, but it's a bomb thrower with Freedom of Information Act request. It's traditionally published, by the way. I didn't publish this myself. This is distributed by Simon & Schuster, which means that it went through legal and that all the information had to be checked and went through legal counsel and all that. So it's all accurate, 100%. And it's a jaw-dropping type of 150-page experience that you'll just go, wow, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. So folks, definitely check it out.
Yeah, because you even addressed things such as the Patriot Act, and there was stories abounding today about government snooping on us. And shall we talk about drones in the air?
Yeah, I mean, look, I go through I have a chapter called The China Syndrome, and I go through all of it. I go through the spy balloons, what they were doing, how they were traversing the military operations and recording data and all of that. And of course, I go through and I talk about Temu, why Temu is so dangerous and why they can undercut and undersell everybody else because they're using slave labor in the Zhejiang province of Northwest China. I expose all of that. I expose TikTok and ByteDance, the parent company, and who runs ByteDance and how close they are to the CCP, and how everybody that uses TikTok basically has their information stored in Beijing on China's servers, and how it's a spyware machine. So I go through all of that stuff. I go through COVID. I talk about the day COVID was created on the afternoon, at the exact minute, hour, time, location, all of it. I talk about Event 201, of course, which was the start of COVID, where it all began. And then I go through and I talk about lab leak versus natural origins. And I go through all their emails and I explain all that. And then I turn towards the end, I go after Fauci. I have a section in the book called Beagles, Monkeys, and Orphans, Oh My. And I go through the horrific experiments that your taxpayer dollars paid for, torturing animals and even killing Black orphans at Centennial Hospital in 2004 that even RFK Jr. talks about in his book, The Real Dr. Fauci. So this book is extensive. It does cover a lot. And I'll give you one other thing. There are 10 legislative ideas in this book, and there's an additional 30 other solutions. So in other words, I don't just complain about the issues. I actually give real concrete solutions on how to solve them. I'll give you one for instance. Do you know who is the person that appoints the judges on the FISA court? Do you know who it is?
Actually, no.
Okay. It's John G. Roberts Jr. So the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court has the job to appoint all 11 judges on the secretive FISA court. The FISA court has been around since the 1970s. They have a 99.9% acceptance rate on spy warrants. They have only denied 12 warrants in their entire existence. And so you have this other court that is working in secrecy, in the shadows, that is just as powerful as the United States Supreme Court, and they are rubber stamping our freedoms away one by one. So in my book, I talk about reining in the FISA court. Why not, at a very minimum, force them to go through and advise and consent of a Senate confirmation for those judges? Take this ability away from the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court and give it back to the Senate so that they can take these judges and actually go through a Senate confirmation so that they are responsible and they are, accountable to at least someone and something. That's how they've been able to run roughshod over the Constitution and go after Trump and his administration and spy on his campaign and Carter Page and all the other crazy things that we know and have heard, because no one has any oversight over the FISA court. So one of the things that I talk about is a solution on how to fix that.
There's a lot of good information in there. Well, I mentioned about the drones, though. I don't know if you were following the stories lately over, because now they're saying it's not just New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. They're saying it's now 5 states. They're finding them out over in California, too. No one knows Florida now, and no one knows where they're coming from, who's controlling them. I was watching some reports where one gentleman said he pulled his drone out, checked it, had a full battery. He sent it up to chase one of them. Next thing you know, his is falling out of the air with a dead battery. Whatever it is has a power source that stole his. Another one said a family was in the car and they saw one of the drones flying overhead and they started following it. And all of a sudden, the clock in the car started going fluey. And as soon as the drone took off, then the clock and the car went back to normal. This is very interesting stuff out there. And yet the Biden administration go, nothing to see here.
Yeah, look, I think there's only 2 scenarios here. Okay. You may remember years ago, we had a drone get shot down in Iran. Yeah, it was about 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And when that drone was shot down, they then went and they took the technology and they reversed the technology and they worked on it. They had their best scientists work on it and figure out what it was. And so it could be the byproduct of the Iranian regime learning our technology and then taking that technology and either adding to it or using our technology against us and flying these drones around. That would be one scenario. The only other scenario that makes any sense at all is China, because China is the only country sophisticated enough, wealthy enough, and I guess large enough to have that type of apparatus capability and approach. And they've already done it once with the spy balloons last year and the year before that. So why would we all of a sudden think that they couldn't do it once again? And the fact that they have this advanced technology that shows that, you can't shoot it down or it disappears or it changes things. Well, that's probably Russia and China and Iran, all three of them working together against the United States. Again, that's just my opinion, but there's no way that it's not one of those three countries.
Or it could be us. It could be our technology, and we don't want the people to know what we're up to.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility, but I think it's a foreign entity for sure. But you know what? January 20th, we're going to find out a lot about a lot of different things we don't know the exact concrete answers to when President Trump takes over.
You know, that's the scary part, because we're seeing this with the drones right now. And there was one 45-foot Coast Guard cutter that was literally followed by about 30 of these drones. Now, I thought that our FAA was supposed to have complete control of our skies. Obviously, they don't. So we've got January 20th coming up, all these drones coming from all over the place. I don't know if you've ever gone to an inauguration, but that is wide open on the Washington Mall.
Right.
That is a prime target. And how are you going to stop these drones if you don't even know what they are at this moment? And that's a scary thought. And we're 38 days away?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was going to say, you know, President Trump should stay away from Bedminster in New Jersey there, because they're obviously circling around there. And if they find out he's there, they could blow up that place. So, yeah, I mean, this is some serious stuff. Look, I said when he was after the second assassination attempt, even the first one, actually, I was the first one to say bulletproof glass inside with a back behind you, with no one behind you, you know, just your kids, you know, behind you. No one else can be behind you or anything, and do it inside. And then after the second attempt, I said, you know what? We already know that you can sell out arenas. We already know, you've proven to us that you're the biggest draw that there's ever been. Stay in Mar-a-Lago, stay there for the next month, you know, for the rest of the campaign, set up a headquarters, set up a communication system with, you know, broadcasting and televisions and video cameras and all that. Stay there and do the rest of the campaign from there. But of course he didn't do that. He went out on the road and did his thing. And, you know, that's whatever he decided to do. But for the inauguration, look, I mean, I would do it inside, you know, change things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm looking, we got only 7 minutes left. Holy cow. I wanted to, because you mentioned the Senate race in Arizona, but Trump has now tapped Kerry Lake as head of the Voice of America.
Yes.
What better place to place her?
Yeah, look, 326 million people being able to be reached in 48 languages around the entire world. We can literally export MAGA to the rest of the world now, and America First principles and values and customs and traditions. We can correct the record when they lie about America and say certain things in the media about the United States and how, you know, we're, you know, a country that doesn't believe in immigration and all this other stuff, whatever it is that they're going to say, right? And so this is a perfect position for her. This is a 27-year veteran, award-winning, Emmy award-winning veteran of the news here in Arizona. I mean, she, you know, we grew up with her in our living rooms, you know, so we're very familiar with her. She's always been a dynamic person with communications. Quite frankly, I didn't see this happening. I thought maybe press secretary. I thought maybe she'd go to One America News or Newsmax or something like that on her own terms. But this position is perfect for her because she's going to be in charge of an organization that has about 1,000 people underneath her. And she's going to be able to basically take the Trump presidency and positions and narrative and policies and expound those over to the rest of the world. Think of how many oppressed regimes now where the people are oppressed will somehow be able to now hear, you know, pro-America type of stuff. And remember, the Voice of America radio program started in the 1940s in relation to being something to combat Nazi Germany's propaganda. That's how it started. But of course, in the last decade or so, it's gotten much more left-leaning, and it's even, in some respects, gotten anti-American, if you can imagine that. So we're going to put her in a position to revitalize the American message of strength, unity, freedom, liberty, and prosperity, and that's going to go out to the entire world. So I think it's a wonderful position for her. I'm ecstatic.
Well, Josh, it has been a pleasure having you with it. We have to have this a little bit more often.
Sure. Anytime, any topic. That's what I always tell people.
And the book is Preserving Liberty that people can find on your website, jbushow.com. The Josh Bernstein Uncensored Show, among all the other areas that they can always find your articles and your commentary and so forth. So, Josh, I wish you a lot of luck. And
thank you.
Make sure you call AJ and tell him I sent you.
I will. Yeah, I know AJ very well. If you have somebody else, though, because I know a lot about AJ, and he's a great friend of mine, and I love him to death. But I'm not sure that would work out long term for me. So if you know anyone else, let me know.
I have a couple of other people up my sleeve, so I'll let you know.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right, you take care.
All right, Charles.
God bless. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
We'll be back next week. We have Mark Tapscott from the Epoch Times will be joining us, his bi-weekly visit with us. And then we have a gentleman called Michael Letts, and I'll let you know what he's about when he comes on next week. But we're about, 12 days away from Christmas? Holy cow, and I have not even sent out a single Christmas card or a Christmas gift. But folks...
It's time for that 12th Day of Christmas song, 5 golden rings.
Oh, man. Well, we'll be back next week, hopefully without any technical difficulties. I apologize for the first half hour of the show, but we'll make it up to you. So I will say then, until then, good night and God bless.
I'm praying for this land I love, America, America, the home of the free. But there are people making plans to change America. They've no respect for her or what matters most to me. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Long for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. Do you hear our battle cry across America? We've got to rescue her. You know it's up to me and you to see the truth behind their lies. Don't change America. God bless America and the red, white, and blue. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Long for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. For the friends we have loved and lost, and we still believe in God we trust, in the freedom our forefathers granted us. We know it's not too late to save America. Save America. we can save America.